Jimbo's Garage.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to Jimbo's Garage. Today, I'm going to be making a couple pieces, two handrails that are going to be on top of a pony wall that sandwiches some concrete steps. And they're going to be kind of steep. What we've got here is some 2 1/4 inch handrail material. This is about a 16-foot long piece. I've got some lamb's tongue decor, the matching detail for this handrail, and a bag full of knuckles or collars, whatever you want to call them. All this stuff here I got at kingmetals.com. So let's get started, and I'm going to show you how we're going to build these handrails. Today's video is sponsored by King Metals. They've got all your fabrication needs in one location. From hinges to hardware, balusters to metal decor, brass to aluminum, and a whole lot more. You name it, they've got it. Check them out today at kingmetals.com. Now let's get back to today's video. All right, so the first thing I did is I went out to the job site, and the way I do, come up with the angles for handrails like this, especially smaller ones, is I like to make a template, and that's exactly what I did right here. This is pretty much a template of the angle of the handrail, just going something about like this, and this is giving me the angle right here, and this is giving me the posts vertically of what we're having to work with. So from this template right here, because it's small enough, I'm going to be able to set it right up here on my welding table, get the angle, and I'm actually going to scribe the lines on here and get everything the way I need it, so I don't have to refer to this template anymore. We'll just work right off the welding table. Now, I've already done that. I've got it scribed here. I've got my lines and my dimensions and measurements all on the welding table right here, so we'll be able to work off of that. All right, so this is the, I believe it's called cap mold, handrail or cap mold. I believe that's what it's called. And I happen to have a pretty long stick of this. I believe it was about 16 feet long. Now, I am making 2 handrails that are identically the same, one for either side of the pony wall, this concrete wall between the 2 steps. So luckily this is just the right length. I was able to cut this right in half and utilize both pieces, and that would be just enough to do both handrails. I'm pretty excited about that. Stuff's hard to find and it's not readily available. All right, it was sitting on the side of my shop there for a while, and it's developed a little bit of surface rust, so I just want to get some of that surface rust off of there, and I started with a wire wheel on an angle grinder right here, and that worked pretty good, but I did want to try my options with something else. I think I had a wire wheel, a cup wheel, and I wanted to try that as well because maybe that would be a little bit better, a little bit faster. I don't know. I just had to give it a try. As it turns out, it wasn't much better than the other wire wheel that I had, and I ended up using both grinders, both wire wheels, in order to achieve what I wanted to get done, which is in the tight areas, in the groove areas. I wanted to get that cleaned out as well. So it was a little bit of work, but ultimately I was able to get the rust off of both of them, and it was just like starting over with some fresh metal. All right, with that out of the way, here are the end pieces, and I've got this thing, gosh, I don't know, is it a protractor? I'm not certain what it is, angle finder, whatever it was. I used that to transfer that angle. You can see the mark on my welding table. Now I'm just thinking about how a good way is to do this. So I started like this. I clamped it on my welding table. I've used my torch right here. I bent the thing down, shut the torch off, unclamped everything, lined it up. Nope, not enough. Clamped everything down, fire up the torch again, heated everything up, made another adjustment, and that really wasn't right as well. So I decided, okay, wait a second. I don't want to shut the torch off here. Let me just keep it going. All right, I'm close. All right, I went too far. Now I'm bending this thing back. It just was a lot, okay? And so the second time around, I think I got to try something a little bit different. Got that one where it needed to be, and it's on the mark, and you can see it's long just by a little few inches there. And so I've made my adjustment here, and I'm going to go ahead and cut that lamb's tongue off. I'll be able to do that in the evolution right here, and then line everything up, and then that's going to work out. Now for the other side, got a little bit smarter, I think. Heated things up right here. I made my bend, and I just used that angle finder or protractor on my welding table, and I was able to make it much easier and much faster, and was able to get it done that way. That worked out pretty good. And this is the remaining piece that I needed to cut off, and you can see there wasn't much waste right there. That worked out really good. Although during the bending time of this, I tweaked that rail a little bit. It just got a little bit on the tweak side, and I just bent it into place right there. You can see the detail is the same. It does line up. So what I'm going to do now, once I got everything where I wanted it, I'm just going to weld it all the way around. And then you can see me pulling. This is the other side. I'm pulling it together. It was a little tweaked. And I'm going to flip it around here and pull the other side in as well. See it I'm just still a little tweaked a little bit, so I'm going to make that modification right here. All right, I'm happy with it. So all the way around with this weld as well. Now this is something this is like a one-time deal. I mean, I've never made a bunch of this. This is the first one of its kind that I'm doing, so we're all learning together here. All right, so now once I got the welding done, I have got a flap disc on here, and I'm just cleaning up those welds and straightening things up. And it is a fairly new flap disc, so it's a little sharp, square edges on the front, and that allows me to get inside the detail right there and cut the weld down. And I'm pretty happy with that way that turned out. On the inside right here, there is a groove on that cap mold that allows you to put, well, what I thought was this piece of 1.5 inch by 1/8 inch flat bar stock. Could be any thickness, I would imagine, but it does have a groove on the inside to put things in, and I thought this was what it was for. By putting some flat bar in there, welding your legs to the flat bar, I just thought that's what it was for, and maybe it is. But later on I found out that there's other reasons or other ways you can utilize that groove on the inside. But this is the way I'm doing it here, because this is the way I just thought it needed to be done. So once I got this flat bar bent into place and got it where I needed to be, you can see that I'm just putting the welds, I don't know, they're about 1.5 inches long or so, and they're every 6 or 8 inches apart. I'm just taking the flap disc and just kind of smoothing them off a little bit. I just don't want anybody to wrap their hand around it and maybe have a rough part of the weld they're going to grab onto. I kind of want it somewhat smooth. All right, so all you guys know, or maybe you don't know, but when you start introducing a lot of heat like this into a flat piece of metal that's long, you know it's going to start to deflect, start to warp a little bit, start to bend. And that's what I was afraid of. Even though I've got it clamped down on the welding table, you can see it's staying straight now for sure, but the minute I release that, there is going to be some deflection, and it's only going to get worse. By the time I weld the legs on and introduce more heat, it is going to bend a little bit more. But for now, here it is. I got it on there and got everything all cleaned up. All right, this is the posts. This is, for now, I'm just putting the 2 end posts on, 1.25 inch square 2x6.3, and then this is the flat plate that I'm using to weld to the bottom of the legs, and this is what I'm going to use to attach to the top of the concrete wall. Now, this is 3 inch wide, 3/16 thickness flat plates, and I'm probably overdoing it with these holes right here. I always overdo everything. There's 6 holes on this one right here. The next plate has got 8 holes in it. Probably a little bit too much. Don't think I need that many, but you never know. I just want things to be secure. If I only needed maybe 4 holes, I'll just use that, and if it's secure enough, I'm going to leave well enough alone. But 8 holes right here on this one, 6 on the other, because the other one was offset a little bit. This one is going to be welded right in the center. You can see that's the top leg. It is offset a little bit, and that's why I came up with the 6 holes. All right, I'm just putting my torpedo level on there, kind of getting things as close as I can. When you start welding things like this, they move around on you a little bit, and so I'm just trying to keep everything nice and plumb. That's the way you want it. When you're done with the project, you want everything to look right. And then this is the bottom leg right here. Now the center leg, I'm not going to weld in just yet. That one I'm going to test fit this, I think, before I finish that up. I want to be sure that everything is going to work the way I want to. All right, now trying to get these legs in where they need to be. I've got the legs square to the welding table, and I've got the rail on the same angle, the angle that the mark is on right there, and I've got it shimmed up to the center of the handrail, and I'm going to weld that all the way around, and that's going to be the same with the other side as well. Shim it up, get it where it needs to be. Couldn't do that because the plate was there. I couldn't get that plate to stay flat, so I've got it bent over the side so the plate hangs off the end right there. Now I can get everything where it needs to be, and I can go ahead and get it welded on. All the little things. Okay, well, it's been several days later, and where we left off is I was just finishing up putting the legs on here, and before I wanted to move forward with the rest of the handrail, I thought it might be a good idea if I just run this thing over for a test fit to be sure everything is where it needs to be. Well, I'm glad I did that because it was way off for some reason. I must have made some mistake on a calculation somewhere. So I had brought it back here, made the modification, took it back for the second test fit, and it was still wrong. There was a problem with something else. Brought it back here, got that situated, figured out, and got it handled. Took it back for a third test fit, and it finally fits perfectly. But during that process, the homeowner decided they want to make a little change. Originally, we were going to put a bottom rail in here with some pickets and some collars on here to match what's going on with the rest of the house, but realized that that was going to look way too busy for what we're doing, and he's just very happy with just the way it is. Except he wanted to add one little thing. Right underneath the handrail right here, because this is fairly thin, he wants to add 1.25 inch square tube matching the legs right underneath the very bottom, just to give this the appearance it's a little bit more thicker, a little bit more stout. So that's what we're going to do, and we're going to get this complete. And like I said, I've got this one and another one just like it for the opposite side of the steps, and you'll see that at the very end of the video when we get it installed. So let's get this one buttoned up, get it to the powder coater, and we'll get it installed, and I'll show you the finished product. All right, well, you can see the bow in it. It definitely bowed, and although it looks bad, you know, once I laid it on the wall, it was just a little flex like that, and I could push the flex out and pull it straight. But we don't want to do that. The idea is to get this thing pulled as straight as possible, and that makes the installation a lot easier. Now, this is a much better idea. I like this guy's idea. Now, the client, no surprise, the client is an engineer, so he just thought that this would be a better way, and of course, this is what we're going to do, and hopefully when I weld this in place, it'll straighten that up and keep that bend out of there. So we'll see how that all turns out. Again, this is 1.25 inch tube. This matches the leg diameter, or leg size, I should say. A little trickery here. I've got some small pieces that go on the end, and they just have to be cut on certain angles in order to fit in there. And that's what I'm doing right here. Here it is right here, small little angle. I got to, you know, the weld's in the way. I got to do some grinding, some modifying to make it fit in there. And some shim just to get it shimmed up where it needs to be. And once I got that, happy with it, clamp it in place right there. Just going to tack it for now. All right, let's struggle a little bit here. You see I got my table dogs and they're round, and this clamp's got a round bottom to it. You can see I could not get the thing right. So a quick little modification, some square tube on there, and I was able to pull that straight. You know, Jason from Fireball Tools, he's got some table dogs like this that are square. Great idea, and those work out really well. So I don't know, maybe I'll be making a few of those for certain situations, but that worked out really good in this situation right here. So these welds are, like I say, 1.5 inches or so, 2 inches long. They're 6 or 8 inches apart. That's all I really want to put in there. I don't want to go any more than that. And this is what I was talking about earlier. Even though I put that 1.5 by 1/8 inch flat bar on the bottom right there, maybe I could have, if I knew that this is the way it was going to be, maybe I could have used this square tube from the very beginning and done without that, and that would have fit right in that track as well. There was a couple of different grooves in the bottom of that to allow for maybe 1.25 inches, 1.5 inches. There's a couple of different applications underneath there, so maybe this is what it's used for. You know, I'm not really certain. Either way, it's working out. Now, I don't know, you know, we're still putting a lot of heat in this, and it is clamped down, and it's still, I'm thinking I'm still going to get some deflection. I know that's going to help it. I just don't know if it's going to keep it perfect. And that's what I was worrying about the whole time here. All right, flipping around the other side and just repeat that process all the way down right here. You know, this was a great learning experience for me. I hope you guys learned something from it as well. You know, every job I do is a learning experience, and you know, that's what makes it fun for me. I love a challenge, and if I can make it through the challenge, I feel an accomplishment. All right, well, there it is. Surprisingly enough, it stayed nice and straight, and that's going to make this installation that much better. With that said, I went ahead and got the second handrail done as well. There's the first one, and then there is the second one. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Don't forget to check out my website at jimbosgarage.com for table dogs, torch lead holders, shirts, hats, stickers, and a little bit more. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next video.
See you next time on Jimbo's Garage.